Whereas the town of Chestertown has no specific regulations concerning the busking or playing of music in public places in the town of Chestertown. Just note that I said specific, please, because we do have regulations, but I don't think they're on point. And whereas the town has been informed that busking and the playing of music in public areas is connected with individuals' rights to free speech, now be it therefore resolved that the town of Chestertown add a provision to its ordinances concerning permits, accepting busking from the requirement to have permits. Here's what we've added about busking. No permit shall be required, however, for street musicians or other performers of the arts who are exercising their right of free speech on the aforementioned public properties, except that said musicians and performers shall not be permitted to perform within the area of an event for which the town has already granted a permit for a specified activity, including but not limited to the Chestertown Tea Party, event parades, downrigging weekend, the Tea Time Tour, Crazy Days, and the Chestertown Wildlife Festival. Street musicians and other performers shall at all times comply with the other provisions of the town code, including specifically the town noise ordinance and code provisions prohibiting the obstruction of sidewalks and public passage, and may accept voluntary monetary contributions of appreciation for the display of their talents. This has been read by Stuart. He likes it, and I like it too. So it's
I'm not against busing, but what I'm saying is I don't want to see 500 musicians come in and just take over our parks.
Well, we have, excuse me, but the person that's in charge of the farmer's market
There's two people.
Well, 2 people. Wouldn't those 2 people have the right to designate a space? They designate for everything else. What is the difference?
That would probably be the person who's managing the craft market, because I don't think Owen McCoy wants to fiddle with it. He just does his farm.
Exactly.
So that would be the person. What has usually been done is that we try to put nonprofits together, the people who are running their businesses together, and the children's section was at one spot, and maybe we can see if we can put the musicians in another spot, so you're not, you know.
Well,
we want to satisfy the ACLU and
Okay.
anyone else who had it. So this is the law that you should pass.
Okay,
When you get down to, and I'll say it again, when you get down to these planned events that are regulated and sponsored by the town, then I think you need to do a little more
Yeah.
work on
Absolutely.
how those are performed.
This says performers shall not be permitted to perform within the area of an event. And then it goes on, for which the town has already granted a permit for a specified activity, including but not limited to, and then you've listed,
Right.
you
Everything
know.
but the farmer's market.
Right, and I want it put in the record before we vote that it is the intent of the town council that the Chestertown Farmers Market is not considered an event within the context of this ordinance.
Well,
I don't think you have to, but we can certainly, because once you list the ones that are exempt from the ordinance, because of Tea Party, So, let me think it over.
And I'm only saying that because there is a committee over, looking over the farmer's market, and I don't want to see the farmer's market turned into an event that would exclude.
Okay, well, can we add that,
I
Bill?
purposely left the farmer's market out of there because I think you have work to do on that. And I think it should allow busking, but under some form of organization.
Well, that's what the Linda's group
That's
So
what
I
I'm
think
concerned about.
I
What if
agree with her.
What if you had 50 street musicians show up, and they get there very early, and the other people come in and they can't even set up because they're in their place?
I think both the farmer's market and crafts market should address that within their event. And I think it is a town event. It's a town-sponsored
Event.
event, and I think that it brings up too many question marks right now. I think it needs to be in their...
This gets the ACLU off our backs. Can we refine it later on when they...
We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I would rather,
We need to
thing
get this
about
done,
events
get
is
this off our back.
you can't leave this out of events because the Tea Party, for example, they spend months and months and months organizing. They have a parade, they have music.
Sure.
And this is legal, by the way, to do this, to say this.
Farmers market has a parade?
No.
I thought I said Tea Party.
No,
You did say
sorry,
you
I'm
were.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and actually, there are rules and regulations for our farmer's market right now that don't include that. So I think it's a red herring to throw it in now.
Okay.
I'm not trying to regulate that out, and no one should think that we are. Busking is now legal everywhere except for those events that we've talked about and others that we would designate. No one's designated. It's completely within your authority to designate or not designate
Okay.
the farmer's market.
Okay,
A similar question, okay, I had a question why the farmer's market wasn't included, you answered it. The second one is, in the area of,
You know, going back to Marty's original question, you can busk in the park during the farmer's market and during the crafts market, but not necessarily within them now. So what's wrong with that? The whole park is available except those spaces where
except for
there's
those two
existing road.
spaces, and that's, yeah.
That's guaranteed by this law. You know, how, we don't even know what section of the park is exactly crafts market versus farmer's market. But there's room in the park for busking right now.
Clarification, and Linda brought this up. Could this committee that does the farmer's market, now the farmer's market is a permitted process, is that right? They get permits. So, and Linda, please tell me this is what you meant, or if it's not what you meant, is that could this committee, the farmer's market committee, designate this as a permitted process, and therefore that would edge out or nudge out busking?
Well,
Does the language that you have there, could that do that?
Could they say, well, their committee could, I think that would be foolish. I think the idea is that every event should determine whether they want busking or not. And I think they do.
They have the option of an event to have it or not.
And
So the farmer market could say, no, we're fine with that, we just need to keep it in an area where it's not going to intrude on.
So maybe the manager is, or whoever, is asked, you know, we're gonna have a busker a week, a celebrity busker or whatever, I don't even like to call it that, but music.
But does this hand it down to the committee where they, in essence, could regulate busking?
It hands it down to any event.
Permitted
Yep.
event.
And I think
Okay.
if the town.
And that would include the farmer's market?
I'm gonna say that if the town cedes their authority to a committee, then it would be up to that committee. If the town didn't cede their authority to that, it would be for them to write it in their regulations.
And the other thing that's gonna happen is, once this report's finally done in December, is that it will come to us for review for the farm market. And we can say, no, we wanna keep this, allow this kind of thing in music in. We have the option then,
What?
controlling whatever's gonna be in those
That's why I left it out.
recommendations.
It's because it's a regular event like First Friday. It's a weekly event. I left it out so busking is legal there, it's legal in the crafts market. We're not trying to start a new debate. We're trying to solve problems here.
No, but what I'm saying is that the authority originally rested with the town to give permits for busking. And that's what you originally thought at one point. And now you're saying that the committee now would have the authority
I
to
never
rate.
said that, someone else said that.
Somebody else said it.
I wrote the ordinance that doesn't say anything about the farmer's market, so let's not try to make it say something about the farmer's market.
Farmers market's not mentioned in this.
Okay, but was that was your concern though, Linda?
Right, it's
That's
my
what she
concern
said.
that the farmer's market could be considered an event, and
Definitely not written there,
It's
so.
not written there, so it's not
I-
an
I
event.
And we
saw-
have
I foresaw all these.
And we do have the
arguments.
gentleman in charge of the farmer's market,
Who?
as far as,
Oh, McCoy.
Well, he's just doing the farmers. He
This
doesn't
is-
want to get involved in this.
well, that's what I say, but
Okay,
he
right.
does his part, he does his
Right.
portion. Then you
Well,
have a craft person who
Mhm.
does
That
the
portion,
craft section.
because he said, leave me out of this.
And we became so great all over the state of Maryland with our farmer's market.
I didn't see the problem, but
And now all of a sudden, because we,
I agree. Because of this, we've had to rewrite everything. I agree.
Last question, did Stu go through the Rutherford and ACLU people when he wrote this? Or?
Yes.
He did, okay.
Well, he wrote a busking ordinance, and I really thought that this was a better way to do it. I took all his language and put, this is an exception to our permit process. And it's clear that the farmer's market's not in there, the crafts market's in there. So let's not try to write it in with words. It's not in. And I did that for a reason. That'll be determined at a subsequent date as to whether whether committees do that or whatever, it'll still be legal in the park during the farmer's market. This happens all the time. People say, okay, I want to have a raffle table in the farmer's market. The first thing we have to say is, you're not going to be in the farmer's market, you're going to be in the park during the time of the farmer's market. So there's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
And that's the same difference here.
Yeah.
Busk all you want in the park. You'll be next to the farmer's market, you'll be next to the crafts market, you may even be in it if they've invited you. So I just don't see any problems out of this. I see solutions.